to this episode of All the Grams. This is where we talk about anagrams, pangrams, aptograms, ambigrams, all the grams. Today, our focus is going to be on something called lipograms. You can also say lipograms. They say it both ways. It's a tomato-tomato thing. You choose which way you like it. Now, the root word here comes from the Greek word lipin, which just means left out or left over. So you see kind of the remains of that root in words like eclipse or 12 or ellipsis. An eclipse is when one celestial body passes in front of another and part of it looks like it's been hidden or left out. So that's why the root's in there. For 12, in number systems that are based on 10, this is really from 2. So it's like 2 are left over after 10. And then an ellipsis is that series of 3 dots that you sometimes see in writing that indicate that part of it's been left out. So if you're trying to quote a really long quote, you might want to put ... in the middle just to indicate that you mean the rest of the quote to be there, but you're not going to take the time to write it out. So I know you know from weeks past that grams refers to letters or words, and this means left out. So a lipogram is a piece of writing where a letter or letters have been left out. I know it's often helpful to see an example. So if you take something like this, everyone's familiar with Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. It followed her to school one day, which was against the rules. It made the children laugh and play to see a lamb at school. Most everyone knows that poem. But what if someone told you you needed to rewrite Mary had a little lamb, but you weren't allowed to use the letter A, and it still had to keep its same meaning? So you can't just write M-R-Y-H-D. You have to have some person, you're not going to be able to have Mary, but some person having some kind of an animal. They're not going to be able to have a lamb because there's an A in lamb. And this animal has to follow this person to school or to somewhere. It has to be against the rules, and then everyone laughs about it. Someone else already did this for us. They created a lipogram of Mary Had a Little Lamb by taking away the letter A. And here's what they got. Polly owned one little sheep. Its fleece shone white like snow. Every region where Polly went, the sheep did surely go. He followed her to school one time, which broke the rigid rule. The children frolicked in their room to see the sheep in school. So the person who changed this just picked another girl's name that didn't have an A in it. So now our star is Polly instead of Mary. And they couldn't have a lamb, but they could have something pretty close. They had a sheep, and it followed her to school, did just what it was supposed to do, and it broke a rule. And the children in the end, maybe they weren't laughing, but they were frolicking because they didn't have to have a word with the letter A in it that way. So to get started writing your own lipogram, pick a piece of writing you want to change. It can be something huge if you want to take that challenge, but a lot of times I just like to take a little nursery rhyme because it's really pretty simple that way. And once you've picked your nursery rhyme, you're going to do several things. You're going to mark the rhyme scheme. More about that in a minute. You're going to set the challenge. You're going to focus on the meaning and rhythm of the nursery rhyme. You're going to write and revise, probably a lot, and then you're going to finalize. So the first thing we're going to talk about is marking the rhyme scheme. All right, I've already picked my nursery rhyme. Jack Sprat could eat no fat. His wife could eat no lean. And so between the two of them, they picked the platter clean. So the way the rhyme scheme works, if you're not familiar with it, is you take the first line and you're going to put an A at the end. The first line is always just going to be A. And you think about the word at the end of the line. In this case, it's fat. You then look down at the end words of every other line and you see if anything rhymes with fat. Lean, fat. Nope. Them, fat. Nope. Clean, fat. Nope. No other rhymes, so this is going to be the only line that has an A at the end. So we're going to go to the second line. and we're going to write a B after it. All right, and if I look at the word at the end of the line, it's lean, and I know there's another line that rhymes with lean at the end, and that's clean. So because lean was marked with a B, clean is going to be marked with a B. And then if I look at the middle line here, and so between the two of them is the ending word. That doesn't rhyme with fat, lean, or clean, so that's going to become my next letter of the alphabet, which is a C. So you would say the rhyme scheme of this poem is A, B, C, B. So when you create your lipogram, you're going to need to make sure you have a rhyme scheme of A, B, C, B. Okay, so you've marked the rhyme scheme. Next, you need to set the challenge. So obviously it would be a really easy challenge if you said, I'm going to rewrite Jack Sprat without any Z's in it, because there are no Z's in it. So that really isn't much of a challenge. So I tend to pick vowels, or I pick letters that show up in the end words, because that gives you a little twist at the end where you have to make everything rhyme, and it gives you an extra challenge. And I really like that. I think it's more fun. So I'm going to make my challenge to rewrite this poem without the letter A, because there are a lot of A's. Jack has an A, Sprat has an A, eat has an A, fat has an A. And the end words, a lot of them have A's. So I think it's going to be a really good challenge. So just to help me along this line, I'm going to go through and I'm going to circle every word that has an A in it in Jack Sprat, because look at all the rewriting I'm going to have to do, and I'm going to have to be kind of clever about this. Once you set the challenge, take some time and really remind yourself about the meaning of the poem and its rhythm. So if I look at this, I've basically got a person who can't eat something and another person who can't eat something else, but they get together and they eat something together and they eat it all. That's it. Someone who can't eat something, someone else who can't eat something, they get together and they eat. When I write my lipogram, I'm going to want to have the same kind of thing happening, right? And now I get to the really messy bit, which is the write and revise. So I am going to get a clean sheet of paper here, and I'm going to do a lot of writing. So I know in the beginning, I've got Jack Sprat can eat no fat. So I just need to pick someone else and have something else they can't eat. So Jack Sprat is 2 syllables. I'm just going to pick a 2-syllable name. I'm just going to come up with something. I'm going to say Mike Weiss. And I can't use the word eat because it has an A in it, but I certainly can think of other words that mean eat that don't have an A in it. So maybe I'm going to have Mike Weiss chomp on something. Mike Weiss could chomp, and I don't know what he can't chomp on. It needs to be 1 syllable because I've got Jack Sprat could eat no fat. So Mike Weiss could chomp no, he could chomp no figs, he could chomp no pork. I'm just going to give him beef for now, but I can always change that when I edit. Mike Weiss could chomp no beef. So I've rewritten the first line, and there are no letter A's. And because I know the rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B, it doesn't really matter what that is as long as I've kept the rhythm and the general meaning, because this isn't going to have to rhyme with anything. So that's a pretty easy line to rewrite. Now, he needs to have his wife or his son or his dog or something else. I'm just going to stick with his wife. So I'm going to go with his wife could, and I could use chomp again, except I might just want to switch it up and make it more interesting. So I think I'm going to have her munch on something. So his wife could munch no, and it has to be something at the end that's 1 syllable, because in the original his wife could eat no lean, so his wife could munch no, maybe I'll just try rice. Beef and rice go together. So now I've got Mike Weiss could chomp no beef. His wife could munch no rice. Okay, I don't know if that's going to stick around forever. The next line doesn't have too many problems with it because it only has the word and with an A, and then them as an end word doesn't have to rhyme with anything. So I can keep this pretty much the same. Maybe instead of and, I'll say then. So between then, so between the two of them. And then I have to figure out, they picked the platter clean. And here's where I get a little bit of trickiness, right? Because clean and lean rhyme, which means in my version, since I ended my second line with rice, I have to make the final line rhyme with rice. And it has to basically mean that they ate a whole bunch of stuff. So if I think about rhymes for rice, I could maybe do something with nice. I might just jot that on my paper here. Nice. Dice. Dice rhymes, but I can't figure out how that could possibly go into this. Fleiss, geis, heiss, jice, pice, mice. Could be disturbing, unless maybe they left the food for some mice or something. Okay, those are the quick rhymes I can think of. So between the two of them, they ate it all. Hey, nice. Or they left some for some mice. Or the other thing I can do, if I'm not thinking of something immediately that's going to work, I could change rice. You know, who says she has to eat rice? She could completely eat something else. So instead, I might now think of this final line, because they have to do something with a platter. I'm not going to be able to keep the platter in there anyway because it has a letter A. So maybe I could think of something that means platter in some way, like dish could be a good word because it doesn't have an A, and also dish has a really nice rhyme up here. Instead of not being able to eat rice, his wife maybe doesn't eat fish. Mike Weiss could eat no beef, his wife could eat no fish. Then so between the two of them, dish. And I just kind of stumble through the line by making da-da-da-da sounds to keep the rhythm there, and then I'm going to try and focus on using dish. So, then so between the two of them, da-da-da-da-da-dish, da-da-da-da-da-dish. And I've just kind of put lines in there to match the syllables. They picked the platter clean is 6 syllables. I've already got one here with dish, so I'm trying to get 5 syllables. So what could I do to say that they had nothing left? Oh, maybe I could even use the word nothing. Then so between the two of them, they left nothing on the dish. So let's see if that seems like it's kind of working. Mike Weiss could chomp no beef. His wife could munch no fish. Then so between the two of them, they left nothing on the dish. I think it sounds pretty good. I'm going to write a final copy just to make sure it really looks like what I want it to be. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to finalize. And I end up with a nice clean copy. Mike Weiss could chomp no beef. His wife could munch no fish. So then between the two of them, they left nothing on the dish. So you've got someone who can't eat something, someone else who can eat something else, and then they join forces and they eat all of it. So I've kept the meaning, I've pretty much kept the rhythm, and I have the rhyme scheme still working because I have A, B, C, B. So I have created a lipogram. If you look in the materials section of Schoology, you'll find that I've already placed several nursery rhymes there that you could use to create your own lipogram. Expect it to get messy, but expect it to get fun. And then I certainly hope you'll share your final products with me in the end.
See you next time.